New York City has always been a city that's built on hope. Hope brought people here when there were no guarantees, only possibilities. Immigrants crossing oceans with nothing but a name and a dream. Black families moving up north during the Great Migration, leaving behind the terror of Jim Crow. Puerto Rican families arriving here, chasing opportunity. New York is grit, it's resilience. It's that belief, spoken or unspoken, that if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And today feels like a continuation of that, because this is a city where a kid born in Uganda, raised by Indian parents, can come here, become a citizen, organize his community, and now step into leadership in the largest city in America. And his name is Zoran Mamdani. This doesn't happen everywhere, but it does happen here. So I went and asked New Yorkers directly, what are you hopeful for right now? And this is what they had to say.
Well, we are Jewish people, religious Jews, and we are against the state of Israel. We support Palestine, and we are excited and delighted to see a official here in New York City, especially a mayor, to be able to overcome this propaganda, this massive propaganda of conflating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. We need to know better. Judaism and Zionism is not the same. Being opposed to crimes being committed in Palestine is not anti-Semitic in any way. On the contrary, it's a righteous cause. It shows the bravery of a person when he overcomes all this massive propaganda.
Right, like we're priced out of New York, and I've lived here my whole life. You know, we've been where we are for a decade now, and finding a similar apartment would be $1,000 more a month because our landlord is selling the house. So I really hope for the sake of New York's soul he does, but for the sake of my family, like, you know, I have to make decisions that are right for them. Right. And look, New York isn't the New York I grew up in. I've been here 44 years. It's not the same city. I mean, listen, it was a shithole when I was a kid, but, you know, we watched it get safer. We watched it get, you know, cleaner, less crime-filled, and that's a big difference. And it is what it is, right? I really hope he's able to do it for the people that are here, and for the soul of the city. I hope he can save the soul of the city, and, you know, yeah.
Well, I'm 87 years old, and I'm a former activist, a former Assistant Secretary of Defense under George W. Walker Bush Sr. I just went to the Dick Cheney funeral. But what we had done, we were putting coalitions together of people who were Democratic, Republican, and others trying to make this a better world. But the older people have more of a collective commitment. I want to almost kiss these young people because they came forward when we really needed it. I worked for Donald Trump. I wouldn't vote for him again in life. So we got to take our city back and take our public education back with committed teachers. That's going to make the difference. People that care.
But the thing about Mamdani, he represents everybody, whether you voted for him or not. That's what I like about him.
I'm hopeful that we're going to freeze the rent, make buses fast and free, and get universal childcare.
For a new era of people working together for what we need. The people are starving for someone who understands their pain from the bottom up.
It's called social justice.
What's that?
It's called social justice.
Rent stabilization and kind of bring it down, you know, so some of us from the capital region can come out here and enjoy his rule. One of the things that I'm hopeful for is that he will actually deliver on the things that he's promised, such as affordability. That's something that he's talked about quite a bit, and I hope that he delivers on that.
Healthcare. I think healthcare is very important for the people, especially what's going on in, you know, on the federal level and things like that nature. So we're really hoping that healthcare and affordability and economic, as far as, you know, salary, and I know that the minimum wage was increased. So we're hoping that those factors could come together and help and hopefully improve for everybody, not just for, you know, the ones who are rich, but also for middle class and lower class as well.
He toppled some big money. I mean, the billionaires just injected a ton of money into the election, but that's old news at this point. Right now, I mean, it's time to show that the left can lead, right? And it's time for him to actually be, you know, putting those numbers up on the scoreboard. And I mean, he's going to be, he was above the fray before because he was running and now he's actually in office, and it's going to be a time where we got to watch him, and I'm interested to see what happens, how this rolls out, whether he does stuff I like, whether he does stuff I don't like. He's going to do stuff I don't like, guaranteed.
So any specific issue that you want to see him tackle?
Literally anything that he ran on. Anything that can show that he can materially make a difference in the lives of New Yorkers. Just something materially, like housing, food, grocery stores. I'd like to see anything that he ran on. I'd like to see it work properly and show that these are things that can actually work, and we can make measurable improvements in people's lives. And it's not just, a fantasy.
More than anything, a brand new vision for what the city could be. As somebody who's born and raised a New Yorker, we need somebody who's really going to fight for the city and loves the city. That matters a lot.
Affordability, I think, has been the name of the game. I want this to be a success in New York City so we can show nationwide that this model of affordability is not an exception. This can be the rule if we make the right investments.
Now, you flew in from Chicago. How do you see this implemented, or what successes do you see Brandon Johnson taking from Zoran Mamdani?
Well, I think it's a mutual relationship. I think they're both learning from each other. Chicago just finished one of the historic lows in murder rates and violent crime rates, and that's because Mayor Johnson's been investing in the community. He's been investing in social service programs. He's been investing in community organizing programs. I've always said that, law enforcement responds to crime, but community investment prevents crime. So if you want safer communities, you invest in people, not punishments. We're seeing that in Chicago. I know we're going to see that in New York City as well.
Means that supporting Palestine, supporting Palestinian human rights, supporting universal human rights is not a liability. In fact, it's supporting a genocidal state, supporting Israel is a liability. And this is what other politicians in this country should understand, that Palestine is no longer a liability for their platform, that they actually should speak out for Palestine. Unlike a few years ago when, if someone is a supporter of Palestine, that would mean it's a liability that they should condition it with so many statements, but this means that you can be steadfast in your support for human rights and win an election against the billionaires, against the establishment, from whether the Democrats or the Republicans.